That's unbelievable. Gianna, what'd you do? That was Gianna's fault. She's in charge of making sure that doesn't happen. Brew, I shouldn't have interrupted you for that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, they have played two of the highest scoring offenses in the league. Partly because they played the Ravens.
Well, yeah.
But still, no, the Bills obviously got a great offense and the Lions, so I'll give them that.
Okay.
The Ravens need this more because they have demons to exercise. No question about it. Obviously, last year, 2 years ago, the loss to Kansas City, granted it was in Baltimore, but still, it's the Chiefs. When everything was pointing to this is their year, right? This is the Ravens' year, and they lose to the Chiefs in horrible fashion. So that's one. But they have lost their last 4 games to elite teams. Like, you know, their last 4 games versus elite teams, they've lost. Obviously, the 2 this year with the Bills and the Lions, the playoff game to the Bills last year, and then they lost to Philadelphia late last season. Now, they beat Buffalo early last season, and there was another.
Well, they won a playoff game last year.
Yeah, Houston.
Okay.
We're
just throwing.
I mean, so I'm just saying, like, the ultra elite, like top 5-ish teams in the league, they've been 0-4 in their last 4 tries. So I just feel like.
And no, it was Pittsburgh in the playoffs, which was falling apart.
Right.
Yeah.
So they, like, I said it yesterday, after this game, you got the Rams. Okay, the Rams are pretty good. But still, you got a long run of mediocre to bad teams to decent teams. And so I just want them to get a win. They need to have a win over like one of the league's creme de la creme teams. And even though the Chiefs are 1-2, they're still obviously a very good team. Then finally, Lamar 1-5 against the Chiefs.
Yep.
I think he beat them, 2021 in a shootout, 36-35.
Yeah, they went for a 4th down late to ice
that was
the game.
a great game.
The numbers are jarring as far as Lamar's success or lack thereof against the Chiefs.
So I just think if he's got to exercise his demon, as he had last year with Pittsburgh and in the playoffs and things like that. And here's the thing, though. When you have more at stake, which I think the Ravens do, there's more to gain. Like, if they win this game, and I was heartened by, I don't know if it was Harbaugh, it was a player that said, maybe it was Marlon Humphrey, we got the Chiefs coming up, so this is good for us.
Was that on his podcast when he was wearing the towel?
I hope not, but maybe. But I don't know if it was him or not, but one of the players said that, and I'm glad, like, they got to, you would think we got a tough loss, let's get a cupcake in here and beat them. But no, I'm glad they're looking at it like we got another tough game. Yeah.
But a lot to lose as well.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So listen, to me this is crystal clear. The Chiefs would like to win, the Ravens need to win. And like Kansas City is in a spot where once they lost their first 2 games and knew they had Baltimore in week 4, it's like, all right, 1-3 is very possible. You know what I mean? Like 1-3 is more than on the board here, and we have reason to believe things can get better once Rashee Rice gets back, and we have reason to believe that things on the defensive end are already trending in the right direction. I also think Kansas City has not been embarrassed this year. I thought they played really poorly in week 1, and they were in it. I thought they played fine in week 2 as far as overall team, and I think should have, could have won that game. I think they left the Eagles game frustrated, angered, but not like the hell's, you know what I mean? What the hell's wrong with us? I think Baltimore has been in 2 different ways embarrassed this year, and the one win they had, I don't think they felt great about. Like the losing to Buffalo the way they did. Maybe embarrassing is the wrong word, but concerning.
It was just disheartening.
Disheartening,
I mean, they gave that
and
one away.
Having Detroit run all over you the way they did in your building and kind of, more alpha male you in a football sense can be demoralizing, and for that team with that DNA, as you talk about, embarrassing. And the Browns game is a really weird one because in that game, the Browns had more passing yards, had more rushing yards, had more time of possession, were better on 3rd down, and got blown out because they couldn't.
Well, that was a game that you would have thought. I hear you on the yardage, But the defense made some big plays. So you would have thought, okay, the defense, that was a good
So
game.
that's the little concern I have is the defense had some opportunistic good plays, but the Browns still, who can't move the ball on anyone, moved the ball pretty well. You know, it was a blocked punt, it was a fumble return, it was an interception, it was all those things. And so the other piece of it is, even though you and I are in agreement, Brew, that it is very difficult as we sit here today to find 7 quality AFC teams. Like right now, if you're a Bengals fan, you're like, my God, why is Joe Burrow hurt? You know what I mean? Like there are different things going on. The Ravens' schedule, if we can put it up, if they fall to 1-3, you get a little nervous.
Really?
Well, look at their next 3.
For the playoffs?
Look at their next 3 if we can put it up at some point. The Ravens' schedule. They have Houston, then the Rams, and then the Bears. None of those are like, oh my God, impossible games. In fact, it's certainly easier than Bills, Lions, or Chiefs. But it's 3 teams that all believe they're supposed to be in the playoffs this year, that are all fighting for something, and that are all, you know, winnable games, so to speak. And so,
but if they go 1-3, now the Rams are a good, legitimately good team. If you lose to the Texans and the Bears when you're 1-3 and kind of desperate,
what if you just lose to one of them?
Then what would you be, 3-4 at that point? If you lose to.
Well, I mean,
because I think you will make the playoffs in the AFC 11-6 and maybe 10-7.
Oh, I
so
think,
they still would have
make
3
the playoffs in the AFC at 9-8.
Okay, so that's all I'm saying. Like,
I'm not so much saying
they're not missing the playoffs.
That you'd be worried about missing the playoffs. What I'm saying is, it'd be fair to question how good is this team.
Well, if they lose to Houston and Chicago, yes. Not if they lose to the Chiefs.
Go ahead, KW.
You don't think you would be okay if the Chiefs lose?
I obviously would not be okay. I'm not okay with any Chiefs loss. What I think is, here is what I think. I think that the Chiefs are still, even at 1-2, playing in a different narrative pool than every other team in the league, including Philadelphia. I think one of the reasons, I think that there is a scenario where the Chiefs win, but they win 21-17.
I guess the
and the
Ravens
question, and
that
the
would be impressive.
Well, but
to hold the Ravens
would it? Because
17.
I feel like it would be holding the Ravens to 17 would be impressive. But I would feel like we would be back in the but everyone's lighting up the Ravens defense. You know what I mean? So I think that the real impact of not having the 2 starting wide receivers, you can attribute one of the 2 losses to from earlier this year. So I believe the Chiefs, despite having a tough, early schedule, can survive it, and I think are in place to survive it. And that what they have next is Jacksonville. And so in Jacksonville, I know they're 2-1, but I haven't been impressed by them. It's not that I'd be okay with it. Mm-hmm. It's that I am not at all worried about the Chiefs panicking. And I feel like the Ravens were showing signs of panic adjacent during the game.
Okay.
And we've seen them like that.
I think the Chiefs have something to lose. Not as much as the Ravens, but I think they would want this game. Like, where either team, I think you would be in panic mode if they lost, because I don't think either team should be in panic mode if they lose, unless one of them is blasted. If they blast the Chiefs, or if the Chiefs blast them, then you have to really worry about that team.
Right, but so here's...
Including the Chiefs, I really believe that.
Let me give a better answer maybe to the question you asked. If the Ravens win, and these 2 teams play in the playoffs, if the Ravens win and they end up the 2 seed and they're playing the 7 seed wild card Chiefs, do you think the Chiefs walk into that game with any shadow of a doubt they can beat Baltimore?
No, I think playoff Patrick Mahomes should never be doubted.
And so, but let's do the opposite. The Chiefs win this game, and Lamar is now 1-6 against Patrick, and they play in the postseason. Yeah. Right now, is there if the Ravens have played the Chiefs, as of Sunday, and the Chiefs played the Ravens more than these two teams have played anyone else over the last 19 months, because they played the AFC title game, they played last year, so even divisional opponents, they haven't played more in this short period of time. If the Chiefs just beat them every single time and have beat them for Lamar's whole career, and it's a team you feel like you're probably going to have to go through in the postseason, that to me is a big problem for Baltimore.
Well, particularly if they beat you this year when they've been struggling and they don't have their top receiver, Wright.
So since 2021, 4 of 34 teams, which is 12%, that start the season 1-3 make the playoffs. I feel like we're like, well, of course, one of these teams is definitely going to make the playoffs. It's just,
I'm putting no faith in that stat.
Okay.
Because as Nick has said before, typically, 90% of the teams at least that start 1-3 are bad.
Oh.
The Ravens and the Chiefs are not bad.
I know they're wearing the uniforms of teams that were traditionally very good.
The quarterbacks are still
but
great.
this is
The
also
quarterbacks are still
Derrick
very
Henry, are you questioning Derrick Henry? I get it, he's fumbled.
I'm just living in a world, and I know we got Matt off on the wrong foot last time, but there's a lot of people within this 30 teams that are like, well, it's not us. You're never part of the
I don't think I doubt any of those 30 teams had the track record of either of these two teams. And I also think the fact that you believe the Chargers, the Eagles, the Bills, and the Lions are maybe the 4 best teams in football. Right, or at least 4 of the 5 best. And those are these two teams' 4 losses have come in 1-score games to those 4 teams. So it's part pedigree, it's part that the schedule has fallen to where they are playing some great teams early. But the other part of it is this, and this is what is also rare, and then we can move on. If the playoffs started today, the 1-2 Ravens would be in. That's where the AFC is right now.
Yeah.
So you're saying 11 will get you in, 10 should. I really believe 9 will get you in the playoffs this year in the AFC. And the NFC, it appears that it's going to be different. So I just think there is a bigger margin of error to right the ship in this conference this season.
Sure. I also think there's going to be like a team that we don't think is good right now that makes a run
There'll
late.
be one.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that team was 1-2 and was not
It just won't
good.
cost one of these two teams.
I don't think so. I would be shocked if either of these teams missed the postseason.
But stand on that.
I would, but I just don't. I'm not willing to just say, everything is great in Ravens land. They have the worst defense. It'll get figured out. Patrick Mahomes can't complete more than 63% of his passes, but that will definitely get figured out because Rashee Rice is missing, even though we knew Rashee Rice was going to miss some amount of games.
We didn't know that Xavier Worthy was going to miss the whole exact same amount.
Well, you have to assume that a skinny wide receiver might get hurt, and we knew there was a slim margin of error for the Chiefs.
Yes, and that's
so the fact that it came to fruition, I don't think it's like a huge shocker.
No, I agree. I agree. Okay. I'm not, but whether or not it is a huge shocker that they are in this position is not even in the same, in my opinion, like a category of discussion of does being in this position, does the loser of this team, of this game, really feel like they're going to miss the postseason? And somebody is going to lose this game, and that team will wake up the next morning with top 8 Super Bowl odds, with as the 3rd or 4th favorite in the conference. Right. Like that's what's going to like. Somebody's got to lose the game.